As the second season of OWCS gets closer and closer, it's time to take a look at who's going to be playing and find a couple of players to keep an eye on this year. Whether it be an up-and-coming player who can show their potential, an underrated player who will be getting a chance to prove themselves, or an established veteran doing what they can in a new system, there are a number of reasons to watch these players this year. Before we get started, a quick reminder that if you like my stuff and you want to support me, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. If there's any players you want to see this year that I don't mention, leave a comment down below and let me know. I really like seeing what y'all have to say. With all that said, let's go over a player that I personally rate quite highly. Last season, we got to see a lot of non-Overwatch League talent show their skills, and one of such players was Zeruhh, who last season I said was an up-and-coming flex DPS. Well, last season, Zeruhh was able to establish himself as a top 3 flex DPS in the NA region, playing at an extremely high level all year long. This year, he returns on Nightmare yet again, and I'm eager to see if he can maintain the same level of performance this year. Last season, he wasn't on my radar, but now that he's shown what he's got, I'm curious to see just how far Zeruhh and Nightmare can go. The NA region looks really different this year, but Nightmare luckily still remain, and if this revamped team wants to remain in a top spot, players like Zeruhh are going to have to play up to their potential, and I personally believe that they will. Moving over to Asia, I need to talk about Proud. After an insane showing last year, Proud returns to OWCS with an even better team than last year. Proud was a borderline elite level hit scan on Poker Face, and I'm curious to see if the better support around him could help him perform at a top level this year. Proud is now on T1, and with players like Viper and Zest supporting him on his DPS line, I think Proud will step up his game, even more so than last season. Proud has shown us that he has the absolute potential to be a top tier hit scan, and compete with players like Lip, Merit, or Flora. Alongside Proud, T1 also has another player that goes on this list, that being Donghak. Last season, Donghak was one of the bright spots on Yeti and Fnatic, always doing his best to help his team succeed, oftentimes to no avail. He was one of the best Korean tank players, and one of the most flexible ones too. He might not be at that elite level yet, but he certainly is a fantastic player who just needs a better opportunity to succeed. This T1 squad just might be his chance to really strike gold. With a very good DPS line and an underrated support line in Opener and Skewed, Donghak has a real chance to finally punch his way into that top 3 Korea spot. Moving back over to EU, we saw a lot of unexpected players emerge last year, and one I want to highlight in particular was the Spanish hitscan player Xzodyal. This guy really came out of nowhere, making a name for himself with his flashy hitscan play and taking EU by storm. He helped lead Team Peps and later Gaming Gladiators to a lot of success last season, even getting 3rd in EU Stage 2. This year, he'll return back to Team Peps, hoping to show us what else he's got. It's gonna be pretty tough though, because there are a lot of question marks with Team Peps this season. On paper, this roster's not as strong as last year, although they have to prove themselves first. Regardless of this though, I expect some more great performances from this young player, and I really can't wait to see him in action. However, you can't talk about European hit scans without bringing up Quartz. This guy was an absolute monster last year, and was a top 2 hit scan in all of Europe. He carried his team time after time, and was the sole reason Twisted Minds had as much success as they did after KSA left. This season, Quartz is surrounded by an even stronger team, and I'm very excited to see what he can do with a team that can actually play at his level. With players like Hottie, Psycho, Funny Astro, and Irony around him, Quartz won't have to carry his team every single fight to get success, and he can play with a lot more confidence knowing that his team has his back. Psycho showed a lot of skill last season and will be a fantastic DPS partner. Although Yubi is still somehow on this team, it really won't matter because he'll just ride the bench, and the Quartz and Psycho duo will be insane. Mark my words, this new Twisted Minds team will be a serious force to be reckoned with, and I cannot wait to watch them. Moving back over to North America, we got to see Space Station Gaming move regions and pick up a very solid NA squad. With a crazy DPS duo of Seeker and Sugarfree, this team will be a force to be reckoned with. However, there are a few question marks on this team. Kellan the Felon has been an inconsistent player for most of his career, but there is no doubt just how much talent he has. If he can lock in and consistently play at the level he has shown us he can play at, he could really help this team be on top and look for a top 2 spot out of North America. If Kellan can step up his consistency, I have no doubts that he could be a top tier player this season. His teammate, Cjay, is also an interesting player to watch, as he has shown immense potential for a few years now, but he's been bouncing around from team to team and has never quite gotten the chance to show that he is at an elite level. With Bliss as his main support partner and some nice stability on Space Station Gaming, I'm really hoping he can show us exactly what he's made of and elevate himself to an even higher level than last year. If things go well, this Space Station Gaming squad could be a serious contender in NA this year, but these players will have to show that they mean business if they want to compete for a slot at the LAN. If Space Station Gaming want to make it, they're going to have to compete with Team Liquid, who just revealed their brand new roster. This team consists of Infected, RuPaul, Vega, Tree, and Knife. Tree has been known as an absolute menace for years now, being widely known as one of the best NA players, and now that he's going to be put on a team as strong as this one, I'm really curious to see if he can elevate himself to a superstar level. Tree has already been dominating the NA scene, and with a team as strong as this one, I'm curious to see just how good this young guy can be. Tree had a pretty good season last year, bouncing around M80 and NRG, but now that he's on a team as solid and consistent as this one, I expect him to somehow perform even better in this upcoming season. For the last 2 players, I want to move back over to Korea one last time. Last year, Zeta Division signed a surprising player to replace Fearless after the Esports World Cup, that player being HEESUNG. Before he joined Zeta, I had not heard of HEESUNG at all, but he certainly made a splash upon joining Zeta Division. He seemed like a great fit and worked extremely well with this team. I personally was pleasantly surprised, and he made some pretty solid plays. Well, HEESUNG is now the solo tank for the new From the Gamer roster, and I'm curious to see how we will do on a weaker team as the solo tank. Now, this team might be slightly worse than the Zeta squad, but they are by no means a weak team. From the Gamer has Prophet, with a PH, Sunjun, Vindame, and even players like Vigilante. Like, this team has some serious potential, and if HEESUNG plays like he did last year, this team can really punch upwards and potentially fight for one of those top spots. However, if they want to make it, HEESUNG will have to play very well, and I have full confidence that he will. Speaking of Zeta Division, they look pretty much the same as last year, except with BERNAR now solo tanking. Last year, BERNAR had HEESUNG and Fearless to help back him up throughout the year, but now BERNAR will be solo tanking for this team, and I'm going to keep an eye on him to see how he does. At this point, everybody knows just how amazing BERNAR is, and if you don't rank him as a top 3 tank, you simply do not know ball. The question for him this year is not going to be how great he will be, it will be whether or not he can get over the hump. Last season, Zeta were always that 3rd place team, and because of OWCS's pretty bad format, this means that they were left behind during the international LAN despite basically beating the champion. This year, the Korea scene is more open than ever, and now is the perfect chance for Zeta Division and BERNAR to finally get one of those coveted 2 spots. Last season, Zeta were only 1 map away from making it to Stockholm, and I don't think they want to miss out again. I really hope that Zeta will finally be able to break into that top 2 group, and if they want to do that, BERNAR is going to have to play out of his mind as the solo tank for this team. With that said, I am super excited for this upcoming season of OWCS. There are a ton of really cool teams and orgs in Overwatch this year, with some really cool players getting chances to show their skills or establish themselves as staples of the scene. I'll be making videos covering the OWCS season as it happens, so stay tuned for more content as the season goes on. Huge credit to Xzodyal for the player POVs, it makes these videos way easier to make. And also credit to Zame for the really cool Pokemon remix that I'm using in the background of this video. If you like my stuff or are just excited for OWCS, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, all that stuff. This helps me out a ton and is always appreciated. Subscribe for more Overwatch esports content, and thank you all for watching.